Brittany, and today's video is all about the Villisca Axe Murder House. A lot of you guys have been requesting me to talk about this, and of course I will. I actually found out about this house when I was watching Sinister. If you guys own the Sinister Blu-ray or DVD, under the special features they have like a whole documentary about the Villisca Axe Murder House, and I was like, oh my god, that seems really familiar. And then I was like, oh yeah, I remember this. It was also on Ghost Adventures. I remember watching it on Scariest Places on Earth, and not too long ago, my friend on YouTube by the name of Hey Mumbles, she was telling me all about it, and at first I was like, what? And then I was like, oh yeah, okay, I remember this. So the day of June 9th, 1912, the whole Moores family and pretty much everybody in the community went to the church for this Children's Day program. It lasted from 8 p.m. until 10 p.m. When they got home that night, two girls from the neighborhood who were friends with their children wanted to stay over for a sleepover. So of course the Moores were like, of course she could stay over. That night, everybody in that house, including those two girls from the neighborhood, were brutally murdered with an axe. The killer apparently picked up an axe from the backyard and struck everybody in the head with it while they were asleep. Their skulls were crushed, blood was everywhere. Two girls, actually the neighborhood girls, they had their heads chopped off with the axe. So it was a pretty brutal crime scene. The next morning at around 8:30, the Moores' next door neighbor Mary thought something was really wrong because usually the Moores are out and about. So she went over to the house, was looking in the windows, knocking on the doors, nobody was answering. So she was really fidgety and like, okay, something is really wrong here, and she called the sheriff. The sheriff, of course, came over, and pretty self-explanatory, he found everybody in the house brutally murdered with an axe. Two of the girls' heads were chopped off, everybody's skull was bashed in. It was just pretty horrific. And I can only imagine being that sheriff, like I would be traumatized and scarred for life. To this day, nobody knows who that killer was. He was never charged, and the case actually closed in 1917. They never knew who this guy was. They had ideas. Apparently the day before the murders took place, there was a picture of an old man standing with the kids, and he was a stranger. So some people think, was this him? You never know. And that picture actually gives me a very eerie feeling, but obviously like I can't say it was him, but you never know. It's pretty unfortunate that they never found who the killer was. A lot of people think the killer got inside of the house when the family was at the church. They actually found cigarettes in the attic part of the house where they think he was hiding out and waiting for them to come home and waiting for them to fall asleep so then he could get out of there and attack. So who knows how long that guy was waiting there for, but he had to have been there around 8 p.m. because that's when the Moore family left the house to go to the Children's Day program at the church. So of course, after the murders happened, it really shook up the town because it used to be like a safe little place according to the people that lived there. It's really sad and it's just really scary. The killer never struck again. Nobody knows what his motive was. There are some theories that the husband hired somebody to kill the whole family. But then also the husband was killed, so it doesn't really make sense unless he wanted to die as well. Who knows? Years after the murders took place, a family actually moved into this house, and they were shortly driven out of the house because of weird things that were going on. The wife kept hearing cries like somebody was in agony, and she started seeing things, and she felt a very evil presence in that house, and they just got really scared, so they just ran away. Well, they didn't run away, but they just were driven out of that house because of all the stuff that was going on there. And they knew of the history as well, but I don't think they thought that they were going to be living it when they were living there. After they moved out of the house was empty for years until a family came along in the 1960s and moved in. Now, of course, this family also witnessed a lot of stuff in this house. They would hear a lot of crying, like a little girl whimpering like she was in pain, and they would just hear little kids all the time. And they got a very evil presence in there. They just did not feel welcomed. There was also a news reporter that went into that house, and she went into the area where the killer was hanging out for the night, waiting to come out to brutally kill. And she said she felt like there was an invisible wall in there, and she felt a very negative presence, and like she couldn't get in there. So I thought that's really weird. What do you guys think about this house? Have you ever heard about this story? Did you see it on the Sinister Blu-ray and the special features? I thought it was kind of weird that they put that in there, but at the same time I was very intrigued, and I was like, wow, that's interesting. I never knew that happened. It's definitely a very scary and traumatizing story. I couldn't imagine being the Moore's neighbors, knowing that happened next door to you. I'd be scared to go to sleep every night thinking that this killer was gonna strike again, especially because they never found him, they never charged him. And it's most likely that this guy is dead now, so they never will find him, which is very unfortunate. My question for you guys is, would you ever go to this house? Would you ever stay the night by yourself in this house? Or maybe I'll make it easier. Would you stay the night in this house with a friend? I would definitely do that. I think that would be very interesting to see what I could catch on camera, and of course I would use my spirit box and see what would happen. Thank you guys so much for watching. You guys are so amazing. I hope you enjoyed my video. All of my links are in the description below. Subscribe if you haven't already. I make new videos every Tuesday and Friday. Welcome to my channel, and I will see you guys in my next video. Bye!